The kick came out of nowhere. Naomi Carter felt the impact before she understood it. Her shopping bag jolted out of her hand, skidding across the marble floor of the mall. Boxes burst free, sliding in different directions, stopping near polished shoes and curious feet. She stumbled, caught herself on the glass railing. The sting in her palm came second. The first thing she noticed was the sound. Laughter. Not loud. Not cruel enough to draw attention, but sharp enough to cut. "Watch where you're going," the man said. His voice was clean, educated, certain. Naomi lifted her head. Ethan Blake stood in front of her, tall, composed, dressed like a man who belonged wherever he stepped. His arm rested easily around a woman draped in cream silk and gold jewelry. The woman's lips were already curling in amusement. Ethan didn't recognize Naomi. Not yet. "Honestly," the woman said, glancing down at the scattered boxes, "this mall is losing its standards." Naomi said nothing. She crouched and began gathering her things. Her movements were slow, deliberate. No panic. No apology. That irritated him. Ethan exhaled through his nose. "You can't just wander into places like this," he said, louder now. "Some of us actually shop here." Naomi's fingers paused. She looked up again. This time, he saw her face properly. The recognition landed late, and badly. His expression shifted, confusion tightening into disbelief. "Naomi." She straightened. "Ethan." The sound of her voice hit him harder than the name. For a moment, he just stared. Then he laughed, short, disbelieving, almost offended. "You've got to be kidding me." The woman beside him leaned closer. "You know her." Ethan's eyes never left Naomi. "Unfortunately." He turned slightly, angling his body like he was presenting an exhibit. "This is my ex-wife." Heads turned. Interest sharpened. Phones lifted, subtle and ready. Naomi felt the change in the air but didn't react to it. "I thought you disappeared," Ethan continued. "After you left. Or were you thrown out?" "I moved," Naomi said calmly. He scoffed. "That's generous. Last time we spoke, you were begging me to wait another month on rent." A few people smiled. Someone chuckled. Naomi bent to pick up another box. The woman in silk laughed openly now. "This is awkward." Ethan watched Naomi closely. He was waiting for something. Tears, anger, embarrassment. It didn't come. "So tell me," he said, irritation creeping in. "Are you here to window shop, or are you hoping someone mistakes you for a customer?" Naomi stood again. "I'm here to shop." The woman laughed harder. "With what?" Ethan's smile thinned. "You really shouldn't embarrass yourself like this." Something in him snapped then, not because she spoke back, but because she didn't look broken. He stepped forward and nudged one of the boxes she hadn't reached yet. It rolled away across the floor. "Pick it up," he said. The mall quieted. Even the fountain behind them seemed to hush. Naomi looked at the box. Then she looked at him. She shook her head once. Ethan's jaw tightened. "I said pick it up." She didn't move. That was when he kicked her bag. Not hard. Not violent. Just enough. Enough to remind her, and everyone watching, who he thought he was. A security guard appeared quickly, alerted by the gathering crowd. "Sir, is there a problem?" "Yes," Ethan said immediately. "She's causing one." Naomi opened her mouth, but the guard's attention had already shifted. "Ma'am," the guard said, polite but firm, "I'll need you to." "It's fine," Ethan interrupted. "She's leaving." The guard hesitated, eyes flicking over Naomi's coat again. Clean, but not loud. Expensive, but not obvious. He made his decision. "Let's not make a scene," he said quietly to Naomi. She nodded. She turned toward the exit. Ethan felt a familiar satisfaction settle in his chest. Closure. Control. Then, across the mall, near the private elevators reserved for top-tier clients, a man stopped walking. Chairman Min Jae-hyuk had been mid-conversation when he saw her. The world narrowed. Not the woman being escorted. The woman standing still. Naomi. Not the name he knew her by. Not the role she played beside him in private. But the woman who never asked for protection, even when she needed it. His gaze took in everything with surgical calm. The kicked bag. The guard's hand. The man standing too close. Min Jae-hyuk's expression didn't change. But the men around him noticed the pause. "What is it?" one asked softly. Min didn't answer. Naomi took 3 steps toward the exit. The guard's radio crackled. "Stand by," a voice said. "Do not escort the woman out." The guard blinked. "What?" "Repeat. Step away. Do not remove her." Confusion rippled outward. Ethan frowned. "What's going on?" The guard lowered his hand. "Sir, I need a moment." Ethan scoffed. "You're joking." Naomi turned slowly. For the first time since she entered the mall, she looked past Ethan. Her eyes met Min Jae-hyuk's across the distance. He inclined his head, barely. That was all. But Naomi's shoulders eased. If you're watching this moment and feel the shift before anyone says a word, like the video and subscribe, because what comes next isn't loud. It's precise. Ethan followed her gaze, unease crawling in. "Who is that?" he muttered. The woman beside him shrugged. "Probably some executive." Min Jae-hyuk began walking. Not fast. Not slow. People moved out of his way without knowing why. The guard straightened, sweat beading at his temple. Ethan felt it then, the subtle wrongness. The sense that something had tilted without warning. Naomi didn't smile. She didn't gloat. She just stood there, waiting. And for the first time since he kicked that bag, Ethan Blake felt it tightening in his chest. Not fear. Not yet. But the certainty that he had humiliated the wrong woman, in front of the wrong man. Naomi didn't move. Neither did Ethan. The mall had returned to its noise. Footsteps, music, murmurs, but something underneath it all had shifted. Like a current running in the wrong direction. The security guard stepped back, clearing his throat. "Sir," he said to Ethan, careful now, "there's been a clarification." Ethan turned on him. Clarification of what? The guard glanced toward the private elevators. Then away. "Ma'am is authorized to be here." Authorized. The word landed wrong. Ethan laughed once. Authorized. He looked back at Naomi, scoffing. By who? Naomi didn't answer. She didn't need to. Chairman Min Jae-hyuk stopped a few steps away. Up close, there was nothing theatrical about him. No arrogance. No show of wealth. Just presence. Quiet. Disciplined. Complete. "Is there a problem?" Min asked. His English was smooth. Neutral. Almost gentle. The guard straightened instantly. "No, sir. Everything is under control." Ethan stared. He didn't recognize the man, but something in the way people reacted told him he should. "This doesn't concern you," Ethan said, forcing confidence into his voice. Min's gaze shifted to him briefly. Not hostile. Not dismissive. Assessing. "It does," Min replied. "She is with me." The words echoed louder than they should have. The woman beside Ethan stiffened. "With you how?" Min didn't look at her. "She's my wife," he said. Silence fell like a dropped curtain. Naomi felt it hit before she saw it. Faces freezing, eyes widening, whispers rushing through the space. Ethan's mouth opened. Closed. Then he laughed. Too loudly. Too fast. "That's not funny," he said. "Naomi, what is this?" She looked at him then. Really looked at him. "You kicked my bag," she said calmly. "In public." Min turned his head slightly toward her. "Are you hurt?" "No," Naomi replied. "Just inconvenienced." Ethan felt heat rise in his neck. "You expect me to believe this?" He gestured between them. "You. Married. To him." Min's gaze returned to Ethan. "You're mistaken," he said quietly. "I don't expect anything from you." The woman in silk recovered enough to scoff. "This is ridiculous." She was just being escorted out. Min nodded once. That won't happen. Ethan's jaw clenched. You can't just walk in and... Ethan, Naomi said. The sound of his name from her lips, steady, unafraid, cut him off. You don't get to decide where I belong anymore. Something twisted in his chest. He searched her face for cracks. Found none. How long? He asked suddenly. How long have you been pretending? Min answered instead. We don't pretend. That was when Ethan noticed the ring. It wasn't flashy. Platinum. Clean. Real. And it matched the one on Min's hand. A memory surfaced. Years old. Naomi packing quietly. Her refusal to argue. Her calm when he told her he'd moved on. I thought you left because you failed, he said, almost to himself. Naomi shook her head. I left because I was done asking for permission. The guard's radio crackled again. This time, the tone was different. Respectful. Urgent. Understood, the guard said. Yes, sir. He turned to Ethan. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to lower your voice. Ethan stared at him. You're asking me? Yes. That word, simple, final, hit harder than any insult. People were openly watching now. No laughter. No smiles. Ethan felt the ground slipping. He tried to regain footing. So this is it, he said to Naomi. You disappear, then show up like this? With bodyguards and lies. Min stepped half a pace forward. They're not bodyguards, he said. They're witnesses. Ethan swallowed. Naomi didn't enjoy this moment. That surprised him. There was no triumph in her eyes. Only distance. I didn't come here for you, she said. You just happened to be standing in the way. The words stung because they were true. Min turned to her. Shall we continue? She nodded. As they walked past Ethan, something in him snapped. This isn't over, he said sharply. You don't get to humiliate me and walk away. Min stopped. Slowly, he turned. You humiliated yourself, he said. We're simply letting you finish. They walked on. Ethan stood frozen, the mall suddenly too bright, too exposed. The woman beside him whispered, Ethan, who is he? Ethan didn't answer. Because for the first time, he wasn't asking who Min Jae-hyuk was. He was asking what he had just lost, and how much it was going to cost him. Stay with this story, and subscribe. Because from here on, every answer comes with consequences. Ethan didn't follow them. He couldn't. His body stayed rooted to the marble floor long after Naomi and Min Jae-hyuk disappeared into the private elevator corridor. The mall noise rushed back in around him. Too loud now, too sharp, but the damage had already been done. People were whispering. Not about Naomi. About him. He felt it in the way eyes slid away when he looked up. In the way the security guard avoided his gaze now. Suddenly busy, suddenly distant. Ethan, the woman beside him murmured, tugging lightly at his sleeve. Who was that man? He didn't answer. Because the question burning in his chest wasn't who Min Jae-hyuk was. It was why Naomi looked untouchable. The elevator doors closed silently behind Naomi and Min. Only then did she release a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. You didn't have to come, she said quietly. Min stood beside her, hands folded loosely, posture relaxed. I know. A pause. But I wanted to. She nodded once. That was enough. The elevator rose smoothly, insulated from the world below. Naomi stared ahead, her reflection faint in the polished steel walls. Composed. Almost distant. You were recognized, Min said. Yes. Did you expect that? No. Another pause. Are you all right? He asked. She considered the question. I'm not surprised. Min's jaw tightened just slightly. That man, he said, carefully neutral, has no idea what he's done. Naomi turned to him. He thinks he does. That's worse. Across the city, Ethan sat alone in his car, hands gripping the steering wheel harder than necessary. His phone buzzed. then buzzed again. Messages. Missed calls. A notification from a business group chat. Did you see the video? Man, was that really your ex? Who was the Korean guy with her? Ethan's stomach dropped. He opened one. The clip wasn't long. 30 seconds. Shot from the fountain angle. The kick. The guard. Naomi standing still. Min stepping forward. The caption was already spreading. Man publicly humiliates ex-wife. Doesn't realize she's married to Korean power figure. His face burned. This isn't happening, he muttered. He refreshed. The views doubled. That evening, Min's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, then handed it to Naomi. It's for you. She frowned slightly. Who? You'll recognize the voice. She hesitated, then took the phone. Naomi, Ethan's voice came through, tight, controlled, fake calm. We need to talk. She closed her eyes briefly. No, she said. We don't. You don't understand what this looks like, he continued. People are talking. My partners. That sounds like a you problem, she replied. A pause. Are you really married to him? She looked at Min. He met her gaze, unreadable, steady. Yes, she said. The silence on the other end stretched. You didn't have to do this, Ethan said finally. You could have told me. Naomi's voice didn't rise. It didn't waver. You stopped listening years ago. She ended the call. Min didn't comment. He simply said, this will escalate. I know. Once it does, he continued, there won't be a way back to how things were. She handed him the phone. I don't want back. He nodded. That was the moment Min made the call. Ethan's week unraveled quietly. Meetings postponed. Invitations rescinded. A contract delayed, pending review. No explanation. Just distance. He sat across from his business partner 2 days later, watching the man avoid his eyes. There are concerns, the partner said carefully. About what? About alignment. Reputation. Ethan laughed bitterly. You're dropping me because of a video? The man finally looked up. No. Because of who your ex-wife married. Ethan's smile faded. You know him. The partner hesitated, then nodded. Enough. That night, Ethan stood alone in his apartment, staring at the city lights he used to believe meant something. He replayed the moment in the mall over and over. The kick. The silence. The look on Naomi's face. Not fear. Not anger. Finality. He whispered her name into the empty room. It didn't come back to him. If you're still here watching this unfold, stay with the story, and subscribe. Because from this point on, the consequences stop being subtle, and start becoming permanent. Naomi stood on the balcony hours later, the city spread beneath her like a distant memory. Min joined her, handing her a glass she hadn't asked for. Tomorrow, he said, everything changes. She took the glass. Didn't drink. Good, she replied. Because somewhere inside her, beneath the calm, beneath the control, Naomi knew the truth. The mall wasn't the punishment. It was the warning. And Ethan Blake had ignored it. Naomi didn't celebrate. That surprised even her. The morning after the mall incident, she sat at the edge of the bed, feet touching the cold floor, staring at nothing in particular. No racing thoughts. No replay of humiliation. Just a quiet awareness that something irreversible had started. Min Jae-hyuk watched her from across the room. You're thinking about him, he said. She didn't deny it. Not the way he wants. Min nodded once. Good. He handed her a tablet. Naomi frowned. What is this? Public reaction, Min replied. Filtered. Only what matters. She hesitated before scrolling. Clips. Articles. Commentary. Not cruel. Worse. Analytical. Power imbalance exposed in viral mall confrontation. Former executives' past resurfaces after public incident. Questions raised about Blake Holdings' internal culture. Naomi stopped scrolling. They're not defending him, she said quietly. No, Min agreed. They're distancing themselves. She exhaled slowly. That's faster than I expected. Min's voice was calm. It won't stay clean. She looked up. What do you mean? People don't fall quietly, he said. They reach. Ethan reached by noon. He stood in his office, phone pressed to his ear, listening to a familiar voice explain something unfamiliar. We're pausing the merger, the investor said. Temporarily. Based on what? Ethan demanded. Based on perception. That's ridiculous. Not in your position. The line went dead. Ethan lowered the phone slowly. He paced. Stopped. Checked his email. Another message. Then another. Words like review, reassessment, pending began stacking up like warning signs. This is because of her, he muttered. But the truth pressed in harder. It wasn't because Naomi came back. It was because she came back above him. By evening, the narrative had shifted. No longer about a mall incident. Now about character. Former colleagues stopped defending him outright. Some quietly deleted old photos. Others stopped replying altogether. Ethan scrolled through his contacts and realized something terrifying. The list was long. The loyalty was thin. That night, Naomi attended her first public event since the incident. Not as a spectacle. As a presence. She stood beside Min, not touching him, not clinging, just aligned. Cameras caught her profile. Composed. Unreadable. Someone whispered her name wrong. She didn't correct them. Min leaned slightly closer. They're watching how you move. Let them, she said. I'm done shrinking. Across the room, a familiar face froze. Ethan hadn't planned to be there. He hadn't known she would be. But there she was. Not searching for him. Not avoiding him. Existing as if he'd never been central. That hurt more than the loss of status. He started toward her. Min noticed immediately. Do you want me to stop him? He asked. Naomi watched Ethan hesitate halfway across the room, caught between memory and pride. No, she said. Let him try. Ethan stopped in front of them. Up close, Naomi could see it. The cracks. You planned this, he said quietly. No, she replied. You just never planned for me. Min didn't speak. He didn't need to. You think marrying power makes you untouchable? Ethan continued. Naomi tilted her head. No. Knowing my worth did. Silence stretched. Ethan searched her face desperately. So that's it. Naomi met his gaze. Come. Final. This, she said, is where I stop explaining myself to you. She turned away. Min followed. Ethan stood alone in a room full of people who suddenly remembered somewhere else they needed to be. Later that night, Min received a call. He listened. Said nothing. Ended it. Naomi watched him. It's starting. Yes, he said. Messy. Very. She nodded slowly. Because she understood something now that she hadn't before. The mall was not revenge. The exposure was not punishment. What came next would be something else entirely. Not loud. Not immediate. But permanent. Before we continue, pause for 1 second. If someone who once humiliated you suddenly realized you were no longer beneath them, would you walk away quietly, or would you stand your ground and let the truth finish the work? Like the video, subscribe, and stay with this story. Because this is the moment where survival turns into strategy. Ethan didn't sleep that night. He sat at the edge of his bed long after the city lights dimmed, jacket still on, shoes untouched, replaying Naomi's voice in his head. You just never planned for me. The words cut deeper than any insult. By morning, his fear had sharpened into something else. Resolve. He walked into his office earlier than usual, ignoring the way his assistant avoided eye contact. I need everything, he said flatly. Emails. Travel records. Her timeline. I want to know who she really is now. The assistant hesitated. Sir, that might not be a good. Do it. Because if Ethan Blake was going down, he wasn't doing it quietly. Naomi sensed the shift before Min said anything. Not in the news. Not online. In the air. Min poured tea, movements precise. He's reacting. She didn't ask how he knew. How badly, she asked instead. He's looking backward, Min replied. People do that when they're afraid of losing forward. Naomi nodded slowly. So he's digging. Yes. And Min met her eyes. He will find pieces. Not the whole story. But enough to twist. Naomi exhaled. He always preferred distortion to truth. Min's voice stayed even. Then you should decide now how visible you want to be. That question lingered. Visibility had once cost her everything. By midday, Ethan had what he thought was leverage. A name Naomi had used years ago. A gap in her public timeline. A relocation that didn't match her income at the time. He smiled for the first time in days. This is it, he muttered. She's hiding something. He called a journalist he used to golf with. Framed it carefully. I'm not saying she's lying, Ethan said smoothly. I'm just saying the public deserves clarity. The journalist paused. You're sure about this? Ethan looked at the evidence on his screen. No one builds that life without secrets, he said. The article dropped quietly. Not front page. Not explosive. Just enough to plant doubt. Questions surround Naomi Carter's sudden rise, unverified links to foreign power structures. Naomi read it alone. She didn't flinch. Min watched her carefully. This is where most people panic. She set the tablet down. I won't. They will want a response. Then they can wait. That surprised him. You're not concerned? I spent years explaining myself to someone who never listened, she said calmly. I won't do it again for strangers. Min studied her, then nodded. Then we proceed. Ethan expected chaos. What he got was silence. No denial. No outrage. No emotional response. The public didn't turn on Naomi. They waited. And waiting is dangerous. His phone buzzed with messages he didn't expect. Why does this feel forced? You sure you want this fight? Careful. This guy she married doesn't lose cleanly. Ethan slammed his phone down. She thinks she can outgrow me, he said to the empty room. She thinks she's untouchable. But doubt had already slipped in. Because every move he made now felt reactive. And Naomi hadn't moved at all. That evening, Naomi stood in front of a mirror, fastening her bracelet slowly. Min appeared behind her. They're expecting a statement tomorrow, he said. She met her own reflection. Then give them one. Short. Yes. Defensive. No. Min waited. She turned to him. Tell them I'm not here to convince anyone. I'm here to live honestly. The rest is noise. A pause. And Ethan? Min asked. Naomi considered the name. Let him keep talking, she said. People reveal themselves when they're scared. Across the city, Ethan watched the statement go live. No anger. No denial. No apology. Just calm. The comments underneath were brutal. Why does she look unbothered? This backfired. He sounds bitter. Ethan leaned back, breath shallow. For the first time, he understood the danger. He wasn't fighting Naomi anymore. He was fighting the version of her that no longer needed him as an enemy. Min's phone rang late that night. He listened. Ended the call. Naomi looked at him. That was him. No, Min said. That was someone who used to protect him. She didn't smile. She just nodded. Because she knew now, truly knew. Ethan Blake wasn't trying to win. He was trying not to disappear. And that made him unpredictable. Before we continue, stay with me. If someone tries to destroy your future by rewriting your past, do you expose everything to survive, or let their desperation bury them instead? Ethan crossed the line at midnight. He didn't plan it. That's what he told himself. The email sat open on his laptop, cursor blinking in the empty space where restraint should have been. A draft he had written, deleted, rewritten, each version angrier than the last. Confidential. For immediate consideration. He attached documents he barely understood anymore. Old names. Old locations. Half-truths stitched together to look like a revelation. His finger hovered. "This ends tonight," he whispered. And he sent it. Naomi felt it before she heard it. The silence in the apartment changed. Subtle, but unmistakable. The kind that arrives before storms. Min was on the phone when his expression shifted. Not anger. Not surprise. Recognition. He listened. Asked one question. Ended the call. Naomi watched him carefully. He did it. Yes. What did he release? Min didn't answer immediately. "Enough to attract attention," he said finally. "Not enough to be accurate." She nodded slowly. "So now they'll come to me." "Yes. And to you." A pause. "They already are." The next morning, the headline was everywhere. Not loud. Not accusatory. Dangerous. Anonymous documents raise national security questions around Naomi Carter's marriage. The word anonymous burned. Ethan watched the coverage unfold from his apartment, heart racing, sweat forming at his temples. "This is it," he said aloud. "Now she has to respond." But the response didn't come. Hours passed. Then something worse happened. The story stopped spreading. No amplification. No outrage cycle. No pile-on. Just containment. Ethan frowned. Why isn't this blowing up? He refreshed. Again. Again. A message popped up on his screen. Unknown sender. You were warned. His stomach dropped. Naomi sat across from Min in a private room, hands folded, posture relaxed. "You don't have to protect me," she said quietly. Min met her gaze. "I know. A beat. But I will." She searched his face. "What happens now?" Min leaned back slightly. "Now we wait." "For what?" "For him to realize," Min said calmly, "that the story he tried to tell doesn't belong to him." Ethan's phone rang that evening. Not unknown. Blocked. He answered anyway. The voice on the other end was calm. Professional. "You've been very busy," the man said. Ethan swallowed. "Who is this?" "Someone cleaning up after you." "I was just telling the truth," Ethan said quickly. "People deserve to know who she really is." A soft exhale on the line. "You exposed yourself," the voice replied. "Not her." The call ended. Moments later, Ethan's email notifications exploded. Accounts suspended. Partnerships terminated. Legal notices queued. He slid down the wall, phone clattering from his hand. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no." But there was no one listening now. Naomi stood on the balcony again that night, city lights trembling below. "They'll never know everything," she said. Min joined her. "They don't need to." She looked at him. "And Ethan." Min's gaze stayed on the horizon. He made one mistake too many. Naomi closed her eyes briefly. Not in relief. In acceptance. Somewhere across the city, Ethan sat in the dark, phone dead, future sealed, staring at a notification that had just arrived on his last active device. No sender. No explanation. Just a single line. "You should never have kicked the bag." His breath caught. And for the first time since the mall, fear arrived fully formed. Not fear of loss. Fear of what he still didn't know. The screen went black. And the truth, whatever it was, remained just out of reach.